Hi everyone, Sean here from SF Fitness. This is take 2 of our first Friday video. Tried the video before and a bit of problem with the audio, wasn't very clear, so I thought we'll go do it again. Just before we go into today's question, the reason why I'm doing the Friday videos is so that people can be a bit more interactive with what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people, and you don't necessarily have to be one of my one-to-one clients or one of my online clients to get a little bit of help. So what I want to do every Friday, I'm going to put out a video to answer one, maybe two questions that people have sent in to me. So you can either email me on sfhf@live.co.uk, or you can contact me through the website, which is www.sfhealthandfitness.co.uk, or the Facebook page, which is SF Fitness. Now, the question today is quite an interesting one, and it's come from one of my one-to-one clients, and it's about failure and how to deal with perception of failure if you feel like you haven't had a good session or you're not quite getting where you want to go in your goals. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is in the industry there are too many people who are too cheery and too happy and too, I'm not saying don't be happy, too many happy clappy people who when things go wrong, when things fail, people don't say it's a failure. They say we just move on, we're not quite getting where we're going, it's okay. You can fail, okay? Failure happens. If you haven't achieved your goal in your allotted time period, you have failed. Okay, so I don't want to end people saying about we don't really fail, because we do. Okay, it's how we treat failure and how we perceive failure that really counts. Let me give you an example. If your aim is to clean your own body weight and you give yourself a 4-week time period, if you haven't lifted before, that's going to be quite difficult to do. So if you don't achieve it in 4 weeks, you've failed. It could be because you're not giving yourself a sensible time frame, or your training plan might be wrong, but you need to see how you react to the failure. Or if you say to yourself, I want to drop 2 dress sizes and I'm going to give myself 6 weeks. If you haven't dropped those dress sizes, again, you've failed. Now, what we have to do in terms of that is clarify the failure. So why have you failed? Did you fail because your training plan wasn't good enough? Did you fail because you didn't really try hard enough? You had a good training plan, but your effort wasn't really behind it. Nutrition wasn't there. If you're doing the clean, or it's a technical thing, technically are the things you can do. So this is how you have to do it. You look at failure, it's to burn you on, it spurs you on. So you look at your feedback. If you're going for a technical thing with a little bits of the technical stuff that you feedback, well, I didn't get it this time, but if I achieve this, this and this, you learn from your mistakes, you get the goal the next time. So it's about putting a time limit to your goals. If you have no time limit, and you're just training just to feel better, or just training just to enjoy it, then no, you don't really fail, because you haven't really put a time limit on what you're trying to do. The negative to that, however, is if you don't put a time limit on something, you can't gauge success. So it goes hand in hand. You have to get a time limit to gauge success, but time limit can lead to failure sometimes. So what I'm trying to get at is the perception of failure is very, very important here. Failure, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. People will get very, very down on themselves if they don't have a good session, or they haven't had a good week, or this and this and this. It's about turning a negative into a positive. So you haven't gotten where you want to be in 4 weeks. Okay, evaluate. You have to learn, you have to adapt. Your next 4 weeks are therefore going to be better if you analyse it properly. And it's about achieving more through learning from your mistakes. There's no adage in sport, to win a final, first you have to lose a final. Okay, and you might not have heard this one, but it's banded around quite a lot, and it's how people learn from the mistakes. And that's a really important thing here. So, failure, not always a negative thing, but it does happen. And it's how you react, how you rise up from that failure. Have you learnt? If you haven't learnt, then failure, it's just negative. You have to make it a learning experience. Having said that, if you are getting up and trying, you're still beating everybody on the couch. Okay? So that should be it for today. I'm hoping that you learn a little bit from that. It's just a few minutes of your time. Again, we should have had this out this afternoon, but technical difficulties. Hopefully you get a chance to look at this over the weekend. You can submit questions anytime to me. What I'd ask you to do is try to clarify your questions to me. Don't just give me a question about how many sets do I do for fat loss, or what's the best exercise for abs. Give me something interesting. Give me something that's going to be specific to yourself. I'm not going to mention names on the questions, unless you really want me to. But if you give me something specific, I can give you a specific answer which will really help you in your goals. Okay, that's it from me. I'll see you next week.